Welcome to breathtaking Australia. Before we dive into exploring Australia's spectacular landscapes, hidden gems, and amazing adventures, I wanted to take a moment to share something special with you. To truly appreciate the breathtaking beauty and unique character of Australia today, it's essential to understand the incredible journey this land has undergone. In this video, we're stepping back in time to explore Australia before 1901, a time when the nation we know today was still taking shape. From indigenous cultures and traditions that date back tens of thousands of years to colonial settlements and significant historical events, understanding this rich history allows us to fully grasp how Australia transformed into the stunning, vibrant, and diverse nation it is now. So join me on this fascinating historical journey, because knowing Australia's past will make every future adventure we share even more meaningful. Let's get started. Before Australia became a nation on January 1st, 1901, it was a land of ancient cultures, dramatic exploration, and colonial upheaval. In this 5-minute journey, we explore the rich and complex history that shaped modern Australia, from the dreaming, the arrival of convicts, the gold rushes, and the formation of a federal system.
G'day, I'm Dr. Morgan Reeves, a political and cultural historian. Before Federation, the land we call Australia had over 65,000 years of living history, beginning with the world's oldest continuous cultures. Let's rewind the clock, back before the borders, before the flag, and discover what Australia was, before it became a country.
Australia's story begins with its First Nations peoples, over 500 distinct clan groups, each with unique languages, belief systems, and custodianship of the land. Central to their worldview is the dreaming, or chukurpa, a spiritual narrative that connects people, country, and creation itself.
These weren't primitive societies. They had sustainable agriculture, land management practices like fire stick farming, and trade networks stretching thousands of kilometers. Indigenous Australia wasn't discovered, it was already thriving.
Long before the British arrived, Dutch, Portuguese, and even Indonesian fishermen from Makassan had mapped and traded along northern Australia. In 1606, the Dutch ship Duifken made the first documented European contact with the continent on the Cape York Peninsula in the state of Queensland.
But it wasn't until 1770 that James Cook charted the east coast and claimed it for Britain, calling it New South Wales, without the consent of its traditional custodians. In 1788, the first fleet arrived at Botany Bay in New South Wales. Led by Captain Arthur Phillip, it established a penal colony for British convicts, marking the beginning of colonial Australia.
Between 1788 and 1868, over 160,000 convicts were transported to Australia. They cleared land, built infrastructure, and ironically, laid the foundation of a society that would later demand freedom and self-rule.
But colonization came at a devastating cost to indigenous people. Dispossession, violence, and disease brought in by the new settlers ravaged communities. It's a complex legacy. Australia was built on both stolen land and stolen labor. By the early 1800s, free settlers began arriving, lured by the promise of land, freedom, and prosperity. But everything changed in 1851 when gold was discovered in New South Wales and Victoria.
The gold rush brought hundreds of thousands from China, Europe, and America. Towns exploded overnight. A multicultural Australia began to take shape.
In 1854 at Ballarat in the state of Victoria, tensions erupted in the Eureka Stockade, miners protesting harsh licensing laws. Though the rebellion failed militarily, it ignited a fire for democratic reform. By the late 1800s, 6 self-governing colonies operated with their parliaments, tariffs, and rail gauges. But they struggled with border taxes, inconsistent laws, and shared defense.
A united Australia offered one solution: to become a federation. Over a decade, constitutional conventions debated what this new nation would look like. It was decided that the colonies would join as states under one federal system.
In 1900, the British Parliament passed the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. So, on January 1, 1901, the nation of Australia was born. Australia didn't emerge from nothing. It was built over millennia, first by the deep knowledge of its First Nations people, then shaped by colonization, resistance, migration, and a growing sense of shared identity. Understanding pre-1901 Australia gives us more than facts. It gives us context, And context is power, especially when it comes to shaping the nation we want to be.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more expertly researched history of Australia, from ancient roots to modern politics.